How do you feel about binge watching?
First, I don't like the term.
Yeah.
But I don't like any words that you use for food that used in anything else. I don't know why it disgusts me in a weird way.
I don't like it at all, because I used to do it. And binge watching is like binge eating. You like it when you're doing it, but you regret it afterwards.
Yeah.
And we binged so many great TV shows. We binged The Sopranos, we binged The West Wing, and those are shows that you really need to take in more gradually because they're so good. Well, here in the basement, Tone and I have a strict, only one episode per day policy.
Only one episode of anything, or just one episode per show?
Of a particular show.
Matt has that policy.
And Matt enforces that policy. Do you know what we're going to do now?
Unbox?
Got it. Welcome to Unboxing. We are going to open our mail that we get at our P.O. box here at Welcome to the Basement. And we're going to thank our donors, people who go to welcometothebasementshow.com and contribute.
People like who?
People like these: Graham, Kendall, Mark, Jenny, Robert, Austin, Reiner, Luke, Neil, Grace, John, Tabitha, Christopher, Jonathan, Andrew, Corey, Danielle, Paul, Jorge, Stephen, Maurizio, Vincent, Bridget, Eden, Jared, Tito, Scott, Samuel, Brandon, William, The Factory Boys, Wilson, Malcolm, Benjamin, and Kevin.
Thank you all. Is that all of them?
Nope, we'll be hearing more donors later on in the show. We've got 2 postcards today, and they are both from Kathleen in Bremerton, Washington. This looks familiar. I've seen this artwork before. Thank you for all your hard work. You've introduced me to movies and music that I would have otherwise missed. Welcome to the Basement is the highlight of the month. There's 2 per month. 2 of them per month.
Sometimes 3.
And I hope you keep making it for as long as possible.
I hope so too.
And we got another one with some lizards on it. There are plenty of movies that star animals, but is there a movie where the brief appearance of an animal made the movie more enjoyable?
Brief appearance of an animal?
It's your little cat there. I'm a big fan of the novel Dr. Sleep. The novel features a cat that has special shining powers. The movie adaptation of it was so-so, but that cat that they cast in that role, that cat was something else. Couldn't even tell you what it is. That cat had that it cat quality.
I just saw a Polish movie called Ashes and Diamonds, a movie I watched a strange amount of times. It takes place right in the waning days of World War II. And occasionally there's just a surrealism of this town that's trying to revitalize itself. And there's a scene, you don't know if they're inside or outside, and a couple has an argument. The woman walks away, the man follows her for a second, turns around, and then a horse just walks into the shot right next to him. If we're looking for a brief appearance.
And the scene with the iguanas in Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in a movie.
You don't see those iguanas?
And they get so mad.
Thank you.
Let's open those envelopes.
Yes, we will. This is from Stephen in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Alexander Andover, Mass. 2 DVDs. I don't sense a theme here. We've got Vigilante Diaries, starring Paul Sloan.
What? Your middle name's Paul, isn't it?
Yes.
Are you in it?
No, I'm not. Robin Williams as World's Greatest Dad. This is a very depressing movie, I hear.
It's by Bobcat Goldthwait, I believe. Stephen writes, Dear Basement Crew, glad to see you back on the air, even though this letter is sent before the first episode of 2020. I'm glad the old Mad Libs I sent got some use last year. Thank you for your continued work on the series, and I'm now proud to say I am a monthly donor. Dan Aykroyd's first movie, Love at First Sight.
Is this post SNL or during SNL?
Or before, when he was still up in Canada?
77.
So during SNL. For Craig, there are a few postcards, 2 from a Brazil antique shop, and 1 I got in Brazil back in 2014. I believe these are the antique ones. Looks like Dolly and the World. Still need to find something that Tona likes and isn't black licorice. Hope to send more packages and enjoy more episodes in the year to come.
Tona loves gold ingots. Can't get enough gold ingots. Look at that.
Now that's... I've never been to Brazil, but I bet it looks like I have. Look, it's me in Brazil. This is a postcard. This is the biggest postcard we've ever received on the show.
Don't throw it, you'll kill me.
By strangling you accidentally.
It is now time for viewer questions.
You ask us questions. We answer them.
Matthew J. Albanese writes, who's the most watched director in the basement? Well, just looking at feature films, excluding shorts, it is a 13-way tie for first place. We've never watched the work of a director more than twice. So here are the winners. John Carpenter, Michael Curtiz, Louis Gilbert, Werner Herzog, Richard Lester, Adrian Lyne, Russ Meyer, Irving Pitchell, John Sturgis, and then a quartet of Williams. That would be Wellman, Weiler, Cameron Menzies, and Castle.
Michael Curtiz just earned a spot in that lineup
That's
just
right.
this last week when we did Mildred Pierce.
Had to mark him in there.
T.A. Epley writes, favorite cocktails?
I know what your favorite cocktail is. It's that Pisco Sour.
Pisco Sour is on my list. I have 3. My general go-to, gin and tonic.
I can't do them anymore. They're too sweet.
I can't do Jack and Cokes anymore. I used to just drink Jack and Cokes.
Yeah, I remember.
And now it's just like, oh, my gums every single time. Then I do like Pisco Sour because I did a couple weeks in Chile a few years ago. It means a lot to me and they taste great. But you can only have one.
I find the bitterness kind of off-putting. I appreciate the 2 that you've made for me. But the bitterness and then the kind of unctuousness of it because of the egg whites, they just don't jibe for me.
And then I also like sidecars.
When I go out to a fancy dinner, I always like to start it with a bourbon Manhattan. Because they're sweet, but they're not too sweet. I love Bloody Marys. Probably my favorite cocktail is one of my own invention. It's a kombucha cocktail, which is gin or vodka, squeeze a lime, sparkling water almost to the top, and then a splash of kombucha. Delicious. Oftentimes, the things we get in our P.O. box are records, and I make every effort to listen to them. I'm going to talk about a couple of them right now. The theme for today is comedy.
If we're not doing it for you, maybe these records will.
The First Family. This is a comedy record about the Kennedys from the early 60s.
You can find it in any thrift store in the world.
Yeah, but this vinyl is pristine. Absolutely no static, no pops. I think this has been listened to once and now twice by me. This is much funnier than that LBJ record I listened to last year.
Yeah.
Vaughn Meter, he does a hell of a Kennedy. And the woman who plays Jackie does a really good job in that too. There's a funny moment in a sketch where Jackie's giving that televised White House tour. Mm-hmm. She says, well, we walk down this hallway. I'd like to point out some of these paintings. There's this one, and this one, and this one. It's got some good laughs. Here's what I've been hoping for. There's a joke in here that I don't get. It's a political joke. I'm going to tell it to you, and you're going to tell me what it means. Kennedy has gathered all the world leaders together in the White House. Khrushchev, Fidel Castro, Ben Gurion, all these people. And he says, instead of having a fancy dinner, we're going to order sandwiches from the deli down the street. Khrushchev immediately starts banging a shoe on the table.
Yes.
Of course. And so this sketch is just taking these different sandwich orders. Chiang Kai-shek, what would you like? And he says, I would like a club sandwich. And he says, would you like a little mayo with that? And then Kai-shek says, please not to say that name!
Mayo. Oh, Chiang Kai-shek was the guy who was kicked out of China. He was the president of Taiwan.
Okay.
The president of China was Mao Zedong.
Oh,
Mao Zedong.
Of course.
There we go.
Next up, we have A Party with Betty Comden and Adolph Green.
They were the writers for Singing in the Rain and various other movies.
Well, this is an old Broadway songwriting team. They wrote the songs for On the Town, the first New York, New York. New York, New York, it's a wonderful town. The Bronx is up and the Battery's down.
The people ride in a hole in the ground, which is one of my all-time favorite lyrics.
Okay. So this is not a comedy record per se. This is a review of their songs, but most of the songs are kind of lighthearted and comedic in nature, and they do some sketches. One of the sketches they do is about movie previews and how different theaters will preview the same movie in different ways. It's not particularly remarkable, but, and this came out in 57 or 58, they say the word grindhouse.
Do they?
Yeah, I thought that was a word from the 70s.
Yeah.
But apparently it stretches back. I just found that interesting.
That is interesting.
This is a lot of fun. You know, certain things, they can become dated, but they still remain somehow timeless. And I think this is one of those.
Yeah.
You know, you have a lot of enjoyment from listening to this.
When you find this one particular 50-year-old album, snatch it up.
Facts are sketchy at this point. He might have been mortalized.
Just cooking and washing and having children. 2 girls, Vida and Kay.
They only had one normal name at the baby naming place that day.
Don't stop playing, darling.
Don't stop playing, darling.
4-2, half and half. Price 20.
Eggs and sausage, side of toast, coffee and a roll. Hash browns over easy.
Chili in a bowl.
Have a dry martini, please.
Do people still actually order dry martinis? I want a martini very dry. You may as well say, I'm a huge dick.
I wish you wouldn't joke about it.
Mother, you're a scream. Really, you are.
A piercing scream.
As promised earlier in the episode, we're going to name more donors. Michael, Dan, David, Christine, Mara, Stephanie, Marie, Mario, Jennifer, Eric, Ashton, Ann, Zach, Tiffany, James, Maura, Andrea, Philip, Melanie, John, Grant, Abigail, Cole, Adam, Emily, Mitchell, Ralph, Mike, Shannon, Kempson, Gail, Bernard, JP, Shelby, and Justine. Thank you all. Hey, that works too.
We got 2 more boxes to open. Let's get to it.
Okay, this is from Therese in Kingston.
This is from Brendan in Seattle, Washington.
I'm going to need a knife because a knife. I didn't even mean to do that. Australia did that to me.
Priority mail, and inside we've...
It's that old
Just
trick.
really wanted to make sure it got here. Here are 2 books I hope you find interesting. It's the history of George Burns and his impact on television.
Oh.
George Burns and his legendary wife Gracie Allen made the transition and deserve to be remembered more. That looks interesting. Check that out. The second book I bought because I wanted to learn more about Mickey Rooney's potato fantasy, thanks to Matt. It's not real, it turns out. I was fooled. While this book doesn't explain much more, it does talk about a man who made millions making movies, but spent on crazy ideas in the hope of making billions. The life and times of Mickey Rooney. Biggest star in the world. Biggest star. Remember that?
No.
Some of his craziest ideas are Mickey Rooney's Weenie World, home of round hot dogs on a hamburger bun. Thirst Tea, carbonated iced tea. Lovely Lady Cosmetics, because what woman wouldn't want perfume called Taming of the Shrew by Mickey Rooney. Rip-offs, disposable shorts for men and women in a hurry. Tip-offs, the disposable bra.
Are these real? Are you being duped again?
I might be duped again.
Another Mickey Rooney hoax?
Postcards.
Postcards.
Bill Spiegel's Underground Tour. Madame Lou Graham's Sewing Circle.
Oh, yeah. I used to work at Underground Tour in Seattle, Washington.
Did you ever encounter the Fremont Troll?
Yes, I did. It's underneath the Fremont Bridge. They have a 2% art thing in Seattle where if you have a public building, you have to spend 2% on art. And they made a huge troll to put under a bridge.
Cool.
Last time I was there, I was drunk. Matt, Craig, and Tona. Usual box of nonsense from Australia. Australian DVD for Matt. Kosi.
Oh, Kossi. Oh, Ben Mendelsohn. He's getting a lot of work these days.
We have licorice for Tona. Heads up.
Aha! Alright.
I had to balance out the giant buttons for Craig with the tiny book for Lorenzo. Perfect for his little hands.
Oh, look at that.
Dear, look at that.
Feathers for Phoebe.
Last of the postcards from her UK trip. Stonehenge. Bridgehenge. Bathshenge.
Only one of these are actual hinges.
Then we have a box of Vegemite shapes for you all to share. These are crackers. Vegemite and cheese. We'll be trying these out in just a second. Stick around, guys.
God, those sound wonderful.
Yeah. Are there particular movies you two return to more than once? Have you had markedly different experiences in the reviewing? My wife and I are midway through watching Cabaret. You don't know what to expect from this movie, and so the second time through I'm like, okay, I know what the plot is, I know how the songs are used.
Yeah.
I know what to look for in the background all the time.
I've done this, but I can't think of any examples off the top of my head.
Right.
Plus, I'm distracted by Vegemite shapes.
Crack those open.
I want to eat right now.
When they're in the shape of Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, God, I'm so
I'm
hungry.
gonna dive in on this one.
It's like chicken and a biscuit. It's got that same texture. I don't know if you get chicken and a biscuit in Australia. This is very similar to that. I still got my Vegemite, and I still eat it. It tastes great on a buttered English muffin. Delicious. I said, do you speak of my language? He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite cracker.
It's in the shape of the land down under.
What a tasty time here in the basement. I got one more thing to tell you. We've done a lot of episodes of Welcome to the Basement, and there might have been some that you missed. And so it's at this time we recommend an episode from our back catalog for you to revisit or visit for the first time.
Which one is it going to be, Matt?
It's from season 8, just last year. It's episode 169, The Oxbow Incident. Oh, this was a controversial choice of a movie. Many reviewers thought it was a bad decision on our part, that it was too serious of a movie to have fun with which I respectfully disagree.
Watch it. It's fun.
I think we do a fine job on this movie, and you should check it out and see for yourself.
And you should also see the movie itself, either before or after, because it's a great movie.
And even the rope's cold. There's a button at the end of this video you can click on and watch that episode. There are other buttons you can click on as well. And right now, you can watch this.
Mrs.
Mrs. Forrester waiting in the patio to see you.
Oh, what about?
Forests.
You always interrupt.
It's only because I want to be alone with you. Come here and let me bite you, you darling boy.